Hello, welcome to Horror Monster Collectibles, where today we are going to be taking a look at two statues, something that we don't normally do, and that these statues are of a band. Now, this is the band Death, and for me, it definitely falls into the horror category because I've always thought that death metal and horror movies are basically the same thing but different mediums, and I've always loved the band Death. I love Chuck. So I was super stoked when Knucklebonz announced that they were doing these. I think I put these on pre-order in about November last year, so it didn't take them too long to get out. And the first statue that we're going to look at is of Chuck himself, and that is under their Rock Iconz collector series. And then the other one is of the Scream Bloody Gore cover art in the 3D vinyl series. So let's go ahead and spin these awesome, colorful art boxes around and take a closer look at the statues. All right, so first up we will take a look at the statue of Chuck himself. And they have really good detailing on here, especially of his infamous BC Rich. The likeness is pretty close to Chuck. Some angles he looks better than others. But I would say it's a good likeness for sure. Come back through here, through the hair sculpt. I wish that they had added some little contrasting tones there instead of just all brown, straight brown on the hair. But that's kind of me nitpicking. Here, good sculpt work on the clothing and a good paint app as well. All nice and clean throughout here. Come down here through the boots. But yeah, he looks badass, and of course we have the more refined Death logo that we find in the later years versus the earlier 80s like Scream Bloody Gore logo. And you know, the art on the box for this guy was more of like the Sound of Perseverance era than the earlier, so that may be what they were going for. But he looks badass. And then up next is probably my favorite of the two pieces, and that is the Scream Bloody Gore cover art 3D vinyl. And this thing looks freaking badass. I love all of the artwork and the color choices throughout here. They did a great job in capturing the cover art, and I like the Death logo on here. Here we have the more classic Death logo from the earlier releases. Let's go ahead and start at the top and work our way down. But we have an awesome sculpt on the chair and a pretty kick-ass paint app. I'm gonna come down through here. And just really good sculpt work and paint app. I love all the vibrant colors. They did a great job on bringing this to life. Come back through here and back. Not much going on here, but I'll just show it to you anyway. And then this came in a few pieces, so all of this is basically one piece, but the hand has a little magnet feature and attaches on. That kind of prevents breakage during shipping. And then it comes with 3 separate bones that fit into the statue. There is no instructions on where this goes, so you have to kind of find them for yourself, but I will save you some time if you have yet to get this. This guy goes right in here. And then this dude goes right in there. And then this little dude over here inserts right into there. And they have those separate just for casting. It's easier to cast it without those in the way, and then it just adds more detail when you pop them in later. So it's common for statues to be in multiple pieces. But this thing is super badass. All right, guys, so that's about all there is to go over on these pieces. Here I have them set up with the drum head I got from the Death to All show that I went to a few weeks ago here in Dallas. And Gene signed the drum head and signed the atomic clock, and I was super stoked to be able to go to this show and hear all the tunes again. It's been years and years, and it was really a special show. And I'm sure that you guys that are looking at this video have probably went to this show too, and you guys can attest to how badass it was and how special it was to be able to celebrate Chuck in that way. It was just a really awesome show. As far as the statues though, Chuck himself is about 7.5 inches tall, and that's not including the bass or the guitar, but just him. He's about 7.5 inches tall, and then the Scream Bloody Gore is about 8.5 inches tall. So that gives you an idea of the size of these guys. Chuck statue, I think they're doing like a quantity of 3,000 of those. So they should be relatively available for a while, I would think. And then the Scream Bloody Gore has a limited run of 1987, which is appropriate because that is the year when the album came out, and that album kind of kicked things off for Death. It's a true classic. I personally really liked the way that Death matured as they progressed along, but like you can't get past how badass the early Death albums were and how important Scream Bloody Gore was, especially in 1987. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on. You could probably compare to like Possessed earlier than that, and Chuck had mentioned that he was influenced by Possessed, but Chuck kind of did his own thing and laid his own groundwork, and what he created was a legacy that still lives on to this day. All of us metalheads miss Chuck. If you weren't alive when he was alive, and there's probably a lot of metalheads that were born after he passed, it's really refreshing to see all of you guys love Death as much as what we did back in the day and continued. When I went to the show, there was a bunch of young dudes there, and it was really awesome to see so much love for Chuck, by people who weren't even around when the band was active and then Chuck was alive. And just that continued community support, you just really can't beat it. Chuck was an awesome guy and just a super talented musician and songwriter, and his work is still revered to this day, and that is all because of his skill and his personality and what he meant to the metal community. All right, so that's a whole spiel. Those are just my thoughts. But as far as Knucklebonz, I love what they do. I have some of their 3D vinyl stuff. I have some of their Merciful Fate stuff. They also did like some King Diamond statues. So like I have had some of their stuff in the past. I still have it. And I've always been impressed. They offer it at a pretty good, fair price, especially in today's day and age of everything costing so much more. And they're able to give fans something that we've always craved. Like I never would have thought, like back in the day, that I'd have a Scream Bloody Gore statue, but here I am, old as fuck, and I have it, and I'm fucking super stoked. So that's it. That's really all I got to say. Hopefully you guys enjoy these pieces. I will leave you with some 360 video spins of each of them so you can see them better and maybe in more detail without me blabbing all over them. And as always, feel free to leave me questions in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. And also feel free to like and subscribe and click the bell for notifications for new videos. And until next time, I will see you guys later.